I went to the one of these father-son things. That reminds me, because my parents divorced pretty early on, but they were together long enough to make me completely miserable by them being together during my time I was in school, elementary school and stuff. And I wanted them to do things. Like, I wanted them to be real parents and stuff and go on. Like, I wanted my mother to be the mother that went on the field trips on the bus and stuff. And I wanted my father to go to the father-son things. And they went to a couple of them, and all I know is they were constantly hung the fuck over.
No.
Like, so bad, because they had to be drunk at night to even deal with each other. It was just a wreck. So one time I went to go see You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown or something in the city here. You know, take the bus out from Long Island, field trip. Yay. And my mom is all gussied up like a whore. You know, she has, well, I used to like tell her, could you put your hair in pigtails and wear your go-go boots and a skirt? And so I would tell my mother this, because all my friends would be, your mommy's so pretty. Like, I wouldn't think of it in any sexual way. I just liked how people would compliment my mommy. Oh my God. And meanwhile, she's dressed like a stripper. And she's hung over. Like, so she's sitting in the bus, in the back of the bus, swigging Pepto-Bismol out of a bottle. And I'm sitting at Radio City Music Hall watching this big Charlie Brown movie, and she goes, I'll be right back. She goes to the bathroom where she's just puking and having diarrhea. Exactly. And she comes back, and to make me feel better, she brought me like a program from the show, and she's just sitting there. Like, you could still smell alcohol on her. And then my father was even worse. We went to a father-son breakfast thing.
Yeah.
And he, again, hung over. We drive to this place. We get there 20 minutes late because he got lost. So we show up, and now everybody, like, turns around, and he's just, you could just see it in his face. And you know how adults, like kids, I didn't know, the kids don't know, but the other parents can look and just go, oh, fuck, look at Joe, he's just fucked up, you know? So he sits down and then proceeds to blast out the worst drunk farts ever. And embarrassing the shit out of me. Like, everybody's going, holy shit, what's that? And my father's just lifting a cheek on, laughing. Just constant embarrassment.
That sounds good.
Horrid.
My second dad used to punch me in the face.
Your second dad.
I'd take a fart over that any day.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
I actually remember my second dad. We got in a fight because my mother got remarried, and because she's a whore, and we actually the second dad had a fight. And I'm like, I'm calling my dad. I'm gonna go live with my dad. Threaten him, like, you know. And my mother goes, go ahead, call him. Oh. So I called him, like, Dad, you know, I'm crying. I can't live here, you know, blah, 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 blah. And he goes, look, put your mother back on the phone. And she goes, I told him. And he just hangs up the phone. He doesn't want you either.
Oh, wow. He doesn't want you either?
Yeah. And that's when I started killing small animals.
And blowing guys.
That'll put you in show business right there.
It's just tragic.
That will put you right in
trying
show
to get
business.
the attention of everybody.
Yeah. Like, they just didn't get it back then. They thought, you know, all right, we fucked, we had some kids, let's get married and make them miserable for long enough, and then, you know, we'll split up, and then we'll send them on their fucking neurotic ways to do whatever the fuck they're gonna do. It's like, gee, thanks for putting in the effort. And my father had to move to California to get far enough away from my mother. Like, they were just miserable together. Miserable! And then I get shipped out there, and then back here. Oh, I told you the time. My mother bought me a ticket. I got to tell you real quick. My mother bought me a ticket because I said, I got to get back to New York, California. I'm not doing anything here. I'm stagnating. This is when I finally got a little older and realized, oh, my God, unless I want to sit out in front of a horse stable drinking a 40 of Bud with my father and his friends, I better get back to New York and at least give school a shot. So my mother goes, okay, I'll send out money for the plane ticket. Sent out the money for the plane ticket. My father takes it, buys me a Greyhound bus ticket at 14 years old, and uses the money for the rest of the money. Takes it, shoves me on a bus, and sends me on a 2-week trip from L.A. to New York City with winos, prostitutes, on a whirlwind tour of the dregs of society.
Of the shitholes towns.
That should be a movie. That has to be a movie.
Believe me.
You know what I find funny? Instead of a 6-hour plane ride, it's a 2-week tour of the shithole.
Where the first night I fell asleep on the back of the seat of the bus. I woke up and half my head was numb. I thought I had a stroke at 14. And it didn't go away for a month. My side of my head and one thumb went completely numb on me for a month. I was like, I got to go to a doctor. This is fucked up. And apparently I just cut off the blood flow long enough to my scalp where it didn't come back alive for a month. And he gave me money. He gives me money to get across, and he gives me like $20 for food. For like 2 weeks. 2 weeks. We stop in Vegas, and I'm like, I need more money. So I get some change, and I'm 14 at the slot machine sneaking around. I lost the $20. So I had no money left. So I hooked up with this girl that was going to Cheyenne, and she had some food and some money and shit. And she wound up with me and my brother, because my brother was with me, but, you know, he wasn't older than me by 18 months.
Wow.
And, yeah, we wound up going there, but my brother had tie stick in his luggage, so we had to give it to the girl in Cheyenne because we got arrested when we got off the bus because they thought we were runaways. It was just tragic.
Did you have a stick with like a bandana on the end of it?
Yeah, that was pretty much it. My dad just shoved us off there. He would do that shit all the time, though. Our vacations consisted of taking the kids out to the Mojave Desert with tequila, dune-buggies, and guns. And just throwing us to the friggin' animals and whatever we wanted to do until 10-year-old Charlie got shot. And I had to watch a 10-year-old get shot by his father. His own father shot him. He had a 6-shooter that was like ancient.
I gotta jump in. This never gets old.
It's such a real story.
I've heard this story 10 times.
Constantly drunk.
It makes me laugh every fucking time.
Constantly drunk. And this guy, Juan Reyes, had a silver mine up there that was like devoid of silver. It was just a hole in the ground that we used to camp in. And he had the 6-shooter that had to be quarter-cocked to spin the cylinder to load it. It's an old gun because the firing pin rested directly on the bullets. You're supposed to quarter-cock it, load it with 5 shells, put the firing pin on the empty chamber, and then you're safe.
Right.
For the most part. He quarter-cocks it, loads every cylinder. As he's picking the gun up, it fires. It's a .22, thank God. It wasn't something bigger. But it hits his son Charlie square in the left shoulder, but low, like chest shoulder area. Charlie goes, I see a 10-year-old drop to his knees, and the blood shot out like a water fountain, straight out in a tube. I was looking going, that is so weird. It looks like a tube of red coming out of him. He turned white and fell flat on his face. And his father, now this guy was like a tough guy. I know this guy, Juan Reyes, is like this tough guy. Goes, Charlie! He grabs him and he's shaking him. Now everyone's drunk and fucking like trying to figure out how we're going to get this kid 80 miles to Kingston, Arizona.
And when he means everyone's drunk, he means the kids as well.
Everyone. We were all drinking tequila.
Yeah, and they're 14 years old.
So they load him in the back of a pickup truck. We're in between Barstow and Needles, Arizona, like in the middle of nowhere. And they have to drive the kid like 50 miles at least to the closest, like, fucking Indian witch doctor. And we're all just there. So they leave us kids there. And then the police show up because it's a shooting. And they came up with their guns drawn, lights, everything, because they didn't know. They thought we were like the Manson family out in the desert fucking shooting each other.
Why would they think that?
Because we kind of were.
Yeah, exactly.
You should have been raised by the Manson family.
It would have been a better fucking parenting than what was done. Yeah. Holy shit. We would go out in this dune-buggy. A kid would drive, like the 10-year-old would drive. We'd be hanging over the roll bar like Rat Patrol, fucking shooting anything that moved. Poor fucking jackrabbit, blam! With my father's fucking like 7mm with a Weaver scope on it that I could shoot 10 miles away. I got like a sniper rifle with me to shoot fucking iguanas with.
Just hire you to protect the borders.
Yeah, and they would go out like we were going out to play ball. Like, I'm taking the dune buggy and the rifles to shoot shit. All right, kids, have fun. And they would drink and just fucking hang out until they passed out, and we would all just shoot shit and apparently each other.